Now that you have created your collective assessment, we're going to go ahead and enter our collective assessment data. And you're going to see how easy this is to do in eLumen. So the easiest way to start, and I've said this in the other videos, is to go to the Bakersfield College website. From there, you're going to go to Inside BC. Once you are logged in, you will see Tools over here to your left. I'm going to click on Tools and choose eLumen. And since I'm already logged in, that's going to take me right into eLumen. If you were not logged in, you would have a place right there to enter your login information. And now we're going to find our assessments and go ahead and enter our assessment data. All right, now that I'm logged into eLumen, I'm ready to enter my assessment data. We do want to do those few checks that we've talked about in our other eLumen videos before we get started, and that's just this information right up here at the top. First, I want to make sure that my role is as faculty. Most of the time when you're entering assessment data, you want to be in as faculty. The only exceptions are if you're a course coordinator or a department coordinator, but we'll talk about that in another video. The next thing you want to do is come over here and check your discipline or your department, especially if you teach in several departments. So just use this little arrow for your drop-down menu, select the discipline that you are going to be entering assessment data in, and then click on that. And then the last thing we want to look at is our term. It's going to default to whatever the current term is. So for right now, it would be spring 2018, but you might have data that you want to enter from previous terms. So if that's the case, go ahead and use that arrow and select the term you would like. One thing I want to point out before I go to the section that I want to enter data for is if you teach multiple sections of the same course, you really want to double check and make sure that you're going into the right one because that's not always information that we look at. You can check that on My Bandweb or on Canvas. It normally lists your section numbers just to make sure that you have the right section. So today I am entering data in my English B1A section 7. You might also just check, you'll notice in eLumen, it tells you how many students they have listed in that course. So for my section 7, it says 0 out of 31, 0 out of 31. So if 31 isn't the right number that I think that I've assessed, I might want to just double check. And again, make sure I'm in the correct section number. So in the previous video, in our creating an assessment video, we created this assessment, SLO number 1, essay number 2. So that's the one I'm going to go ahead and enter assessment data for. So what I want to do is, I see those title and that description. I want to come over here to this little view right here, and if I mouse over that, you're going to see it says score students collectively. So I know I have the right assessment there because I'm here to enter collective assessment data today. So I'm going to click right there on that little blue, you see people and it kind of looks like scissors right there. I'm going to click on that so that my assessment opens up. And then right here is where I'm going to enter my assessment data. And I've got a few options here that I want to talk about. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is this NA. You're going to use this category for students who have dropped your course or for whatever other reason did not do this assessment. So right here, let's say I have 4 students who didn't take this assessment. I'm going to go ahead and hit NA, and then I'm going to hit the tab key just so that you see that my numbers change. And I had some data in here already. I'm going to overwrite it because right now it tells me, and you'll see this is a running tab, it'll update every time you enter information, that I've scored 6 out of 31 students. Well, over here I have my exceeds expectations category. I'm going to go ahead and enter 5 students. Did this SLO in my assessments and they exceeded the expectations. And then I have 20 students who meet expectations. And then lastly here, let's say I think I have 4 students who do not meet expectations. And when I hit tab, you're going to notice something happens. I've put in too much information. I put in data for too many students. It says I have 33 out of 31 students who did this assessment. Well, that doesn't make sense because that's 2 more students that are in this course. It's not going to let me save my information until I fix that error. So I'm going to check my data, and hopefully my data is right in front of me. And actually, there are only 2 students who did not meet expectations. Now, again, it's not going to change automatically. You have to hit tab before your totals will update. And now that looks right. I have 31 out of 31 students. So just a note on this, if you have too many students, you can't save. You have to fix that. If, let's say, I didn't have my numbers quite right, instead of that 20, I put in 15, it will let me enter that and it will let me save even though I only have assessed 26 of my 31 students. But what won't happen is it won't tell me it's complete when I'm done. You'll see when we finish up here, we get a green check mark letting us know that this assessment is complete. I won't get that if I don't have some kind of data in there for every one of those 31 students. So I want to go back and correct that so that I can see my green check mark in the end. Okay, so that's all there is to it as far as entering your data for that assessment. I just put in my totals for exceeds, meets, does not meet expectations, any NAs, try to check and be sure that that total equals the total number of students, and then I'm good. You'll notice I've got a couple different options down here. I can save or I can save and continue to reflection. This is where we want you to go right here. Save and continue to reflection. So I'm going to click on that. And then once I click on that, this is what's going to pop up, the BC Student Learning Outcome Assessment Worksheet. And there's two questions for you to answer here. The first says reflect. How did the data inform your teaching practice? What went well? What did not go well? What would you have done differently if you could? So you want to fill that information in here. Go ahead and stress the positives, what went well, and then think about if there's anything that you can improve, and you're going to enter that in this field. Down here is refine. What do you want to change? The activity, the timing, etc. So what things are you going to change and when are you going to do that? If you can just fill in a sentence or two in each of those boxes, this does not need to be a 10-paragraph essay, just a sentence or two. And then what we'd like you to do here is click submit and share. And then you'll see down here very quickly it popped up that that information was successfully saved. I'm going to go back to the section I was in, that was section 7. I'm going to look at that assessment that we were working on, SLO number 1, essay number 2, and you'll notice instead of telling me how many students are assessed, I have a green check mark which lets me know that I've successfully entered my data for that assessment. And that's all you need to do to enter your data into an Illumin for an assessment.